Do you think Mavis will show up? Kondo grabbed a bottle of water sitting in the holster between her and Saji. Kondo's car was similar to the one that the Welton Company was using to follow Corey around. Saji was still not used to sitting in cars, so she was constantly adjusting the way she was seated. I think it's too tempting for him. The only thing is that there isn't much magic being brought here. He's more likely to attack somewhere else while everyone is distracted here. Captain Ferris stationed a lot of guard officers around Meldgarden. I made a call to some of my people in Bristol to help back him up. If Mavis hits any of the factories while everyone is here, we'll be ready for him. Saji noticed tiny drops of water coming out of the dashboard of Kondo's car. Do cars normally drip like this? Drip? Kondo looked where Saji pointed. She hesitated, then put her finger in front of the dashboard to catch a drop on her finger. There shouldn't be water in there. In mere moments, water began to flow heavily out of Kondo's dashboard. What is going on? Yelled Kondo. The door won't open, said Saji. Her efforts to force the door open with her shoulder didn't work. Windows won't go down either. Kondo pressed the buttons multiple times. The water was already up to her chest. She shimmied herself on her seat and held her breath as she positioned herself to kick her window out. First kick didn't work, but her second caused it to crack. The third kick shattered the window and some of the water came out. She climbed through the window and hit the ground awkwardly. Between the panic and the fall, Kondo found herself out of breath and choking as she tried to breathe. The moment she remembered Saji was in the car with her was the moment she got the energy to get back to her feet. She hurried to the other side of the car to find Saji in the grasp of River. Kondo removed her gun from a holster on her waist. What do you think you're doing? I have guard officers all over. One call and they will swarm you. Let Saji go. Does the guard know your partner for this mission is a blue elf? River had her mask on, so it was impossible for Kondo to see River's expression. Not sure you want to make that call. Kondo ignored River's threat and grabbed her walkie. She pressed the button on it to communicate, but it didn't work. More water made its way out of the walkie. Damn it! River put the palm of her hand over Saji's face. One more step and I'll drown her. I can't let you take her. Kondo steadied her gun with her other hand that was holding her now useless walkie. River sighed. Why are all of the guard officers on this planet so dramatic? With a wave of her hand, a blast of water hit Kondo in the side and smacked her into her own car. The impact knocked Kondo unconscious. Come now, little elf, it's your time to shine. As River was taking Saji hostage, Tor and Audra made their way through the crowd. The inside of the arena was full of stands for people to contribute to the fundraiser. The arena itself was massive with a large stage on one side. Tor and Audra went to each booth to try to find out information. We were not having much luck. They walked up to their fifth booth and Audra recognized the man working it. Enro, she said. I didn't know you worked for the Welton Company. Audra, hey. Enro handed her a pamphlet. I'm just volunteering. How goes the coffee making? You know, now that you mention it, it would have been a good idea for Real Magic to get a booth here. Audra laughed. It would have made a killing. Enro laughed as well. I know I could go for a cup right now. We had to get here super early. So what's the plan for this event anyway? Did they fill you in? Is Mr. Welton really going to be here? I volunteered for a few of the smaller events, said Enro. Every single one of them they told us Mr. Welton was going to be there, and he never showed. I know I said those were small events, so maybe it's different, but I wouldn't get your hopes up. A voice from behind Audra and Tor stood out to them both. Hey there, stranger. Long time no see. Tor and Audra turned around to see a young man in a gray suit. Audra dealt with a lot of customers at Real Magic, but this person didn't look familiar to her. He had short black hair that had patches of gray scattered throughout. There was a scar that went from his right eyebrow to the start of his hair. His right eye looked like it was made of glass, but the entire color of the eye was a dark blue. I'm sorry, said Audra. I don't remember you. That's because we haven't met. The man put out his hand and Audra shook it. He looked up at Tor. You never mentioned a girlfriend before. A retired life must be treating you well. I'm Destin. Audra and... I'm not his girlfriend. Audra laughed. You and Tor used to work together? Oh yeah, we had a ton of assignments together. I'm shocked he's never mentioned me. Destin playfully punched Tor in the arm. Quiet as ever, I see. Some stuff has happened, said Tor. I lost my memories. I don't know who you are. Audra looked up at Tor annoyed. This would have been a good chance to get information. It's a bit of a weird situation, said Audra. We found him outside of Seva without his memories. Anything you could piece together? That's a total bummer, Tor. We used to work together at the Welton Company HQ. We would go to events like this and help with stock. Tor hardly ever showed his face. I did most of the talking. I know. Real shocker. Very shocking, Audra smiled. We were close, asked Tor. Yeah, we traveled a lot together. I was the only one with a big car big enough to fit you. Destin laughed. At least that's what I told everybody. They told you Tor retired, asked Audra, or did Tor say it himself? They signed me a new partner and didn't tell me much. A few weeks had gone by and I brought up the subject to my supervisor. They told me Tor retired, said Destin. I always thought it was really weird. Tor looked down at Audra. Doesn't sound right. Not at all, agreed Audra. Destin, can you tell us more about Tori's past? I have stories for days, Destin laughed again, but we'll have to get a drink later. A little birdie told me there was a big event about to go down on that stage. We should go get a better view. Behind the large stage on the right side of the arena was an area where multiple Walton Company members were making preparations. People with headsets were making lighting and audio preparations. Corey had never seen one of these events from behind the scenes before. She assumed it was the best place for her and Trey to start. Corey had a badge around her neck that identified her as security, and Trey was wearing a windbreaker with security on it over his normal elite vest. I didn't realize this much goes into one of these operations, said Trey. It's a pretty big fundraiser, replied Corey. I'm not surprised the Walton Company is going all out. Do you think Mr. Walton is here somewhere? I said he would be here, said Trey. I don't see much out of the ordinary yet. Just stay focused. Let's check out some of the rooms in the back. We should have a clearance to everything. Corey led the way. If we do find Mr. Walton, what are you going to do? You can't just confront him about the Mavis stuff. I don't know yet, said Corey. She felt a slight vibration in her pants and removed her phone from her pocket. She peeked down at the text she just received. It was from Cindy. Mr. Walton isn't there. He's here, it said. Before Corey could tell Trey, the door directly in front of them opened. Anvil walked out first, holding a clipboard. He didn't acknowledge Corey at all. Shortly after, the gargoyle emerged from the doorway, barely fitting through. Jagger, Raisha, and River followed. The gargoyle was the only one with his mask on. Ah, Detective Corey, Raisha exclaimed. It's her, it's really her. Corey hastily shoved her phone back in her pocket as if anyone would assume Cindy's text was that important. Corey looked at Raisha and nodded. Lady Raisha? Raisha skipped over to Corey and jumped so that she landed right in front of her. Her big orange eyes were way too close to Corey's face. She grabbed one of Corey's hands with both of hers and shook it. I've heard such great things. Disgusted, River crossed her arms. Raisha, control yourself. Gaining a lot of the wrong type of attention, Detective. Jagger had his hands in his pockets as he walked over to them. Raisha is never this excited to see anyone. But we had one job, Raisha pouted. She didn't get why no one else was excited. We were supposed to invite the detective and her friends to the private fundraiser. Yeah, right. Here. Jagger pulled out a card similar to the one Mr. Walton gave Cindy. You're invited to a private fundraiser at the Walton Company HQ. Bring your friends. Jagger forced a smile as he pushed the invitation in Corey's direction. Isn't this fundraiser enough? Asked Corey as she took the invitation and stared at it. Trey looked at it over her shoulder. It's like Mr. Walton always says. Raisha lifted her finger up and tried to make her voice deeper to imitate her boss. You can never have enough funds. Raisha laughed at her own impression, then walked away from them. Now that Raisha wasn't in view, Jagger looked at Corey in a way that suggested her being there was a big mistake. You should probably go back outside. You're going to miss the show. Nonsense. The response came from River. They should watch from the side of the stage. Jagger looked at River, then back at Corey. I'll lead them up. Great. River never took her eyes off Corey. You don't want to miss this, Detective.